hope you're feeling groovy as we're about to review another movie. Still new to all this.
Okay, okay. When did you get it?
Just now.
Like it just came in?
Yeah.
The best. Like you ordered it from online, right?
Yeah, Amazon.
Okay, okay. That's good.
Thank you.
How are things? What's up?
Uh, things are pretty good. How's your week been? Been having a pretty good week?
Trying to have one. Yeah, it's so far so good, you know?
That's good, yeah.
Rolling with the punches.
That's good. um, so thank you for coming on to this.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Uh, how do you say your name? Arys Dejan?
Uh, First name is Arys. Middle name is Dejan. So I use that as my artist name and host name and everything.
Alright.
Dejan.
Alright. And you're the host of the Who and How Club, a writer, recording artist, and a poet. So, what got you interested and passionate about all that stuff?
Good question. It's a loaded question. What got me? I feel like it's always been a part of me, you know, like who I am as a person, like since birth. Like I don't look at it as like something I do. It's really just who I am as a person. So creating in some way, shape, or form. Like they were things that kind of triggered
Yeah.
my artistic art forms. You know, like I didn't know I could do them until like something happened. Let's say whether it was like heartbreak or going through you know turbulent times and stuff like that in my life. And due to those things, it kind of drew me to like writing and expressing myself on paper and poetry and poetic form, sorry, and music and rapping and stuff. Yeah, it's really just life triggers, life triggers kind of got me into that stuff. Yeah.
All right. Is rap your favorite kind of music?
I like all music. I like listening. It depends on my mood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't just label myself as a rapper. I'm just an artist. I'll create anything. But even listening and dancing, I'll dance and listen to anything. Um, yeah. What about you? You like hip hop or rap and stuff like that? What do you listen to?
I'm not a big rap person. I can never understand what they're saying.
Okay. What's your preferred genre?
I like country, Christian pop.
Where are you from?
Arkansas.
Okay. Okay. So that's down. That's the south, right?
Yeah, way down south. You're all the
Way
way
down
in
south.
Canada, right?
Pardon?
You're in Canada?
I'm in Canada. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've always wanted to see the Northern Lights. It's always been a dream to see that.
And that would be a good experience for you, man.
Have
Come away from the south, man. You're deep down there.
so I'm guessing you've probably seen that a million times, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
What is it
exactly.
like?
It's an experience, you know. But I guess like for where you're from, for an example, like what's something that like is like a staple for where you're from? Like what's the main thing that like everybody does, or like if I were to visit you, what is that thing in Arkansas that like everyone does or is familiar with?
There's a lot of nature. It, um, not really a whole lot of really exciting things.
Yeah,
Just a lot of nature, a lot of beautiful mountains.
yeah. So I feel like yeah, if I came to Arkansas, it would probably be unique for me, but for you, it's just like a regular day, right? So
Yeah, I
if you
could see that.
if you came to Canada and Toronto, like you'll do the CN Tower tourist stuff, and it'll be unique to you. But for us, it's like this is where we live, so
Yeah,
we have access to it all the time. So yeah, it's
I
just an experience.
I get that.
Yeah.
Are there any unique stories behind any of your songs?
That's a good question. You know what? It's so crazy that like Terry, the fact that you're asking me that, like yesterday, I was thinking about a song that I released like some years back, right? And it was like a conceptual song, and it was about my relationship with someone who I consider to be like a brother of mine.
Right,
You know what I mean, like a big brother,
right.
and that sort of the ups and downs of being his little brother, stuff like that. I call the song Seasons because seasons, everything, things change every season for us, whether it's like emotionally, physically, our environment. There's a lot of hidden like depth when it comes to like the change of seasons. We transform every season as well. So I called the song Seasons. It kind of spoke about just different moments and transitions of like a relationship between my big brother and me, his little brother.
That's pretty
The good
cool.
and the bad. So yeah, good question.
I have to take listen to that song sometime. That sounds really cool.
Definitely, yeah. I'll send you the song. Maybe I'll get you into the rap stuff.
Maybe,
If you like the hard bass beats and stuff, something you'd like.
maybe. I've actually started listening to Tom McDonald. You know who that is?
No.
He's really weird, and he dresses really weird, but like some of the stuff he raps is just stuff that people don't really like to be honest with themselves. He's just a very out there, true artist, and a lot of
Yeah.
people don't like him because of the stuff he says.
So he's like he's too authentic for some people.
Yeah, way too authentic, and he's not afraid to step on toes. And he, there's actually a one song he recorded where he's telling people that, sorry if you don't like me, um, I make my own music. I'm an independent artist, so you can't get rid of me that easily, or something like that.
Yeah. Is he a white rapper, black rapper? I'm just curious. Not
White,
that it matters. White.
with
Is he
lots of tattoos.
from the south? Is he
I,
from the
I
south?
I'm not sure. I don't really know a whole lot about him.
I'll
My
look him up. I'll look him up.
supervisor listens to him a lot at work.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll look him up. I like the authentic stuff. That's why I don't really like a lot of the new stuff that's
Yeah,
out. I like certain artists that really are saying something. Their music and their talent, not just like the generic. It sounds great in the club, but to listen to it on like my iPod or in the car, I can't. I need substance. So
I get that.
he sounds like somebody I would like. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, ever since you started the Who and Wow Club, have you ever met a celebrity before?
A celebrity?
Yeah.
The Who and How Club. Who and How Club. Celebrity. I mean, I've before. I haven't had any celebrities on the show yet, but I've met a few known people, especially from the city that I'm from. Like speaking of rappers, there's this artist. I'll send you some links to this guy too, but he's like one of our staples. His name is Maestro Fresh West. Maestro Fresh West. Sorry, and before I started the podcast, I kind of ran into him at like a patio, and him and I started talking. And I asked him if he would be on my show, and he said yes. And he started. I think he thought I meant like right then and there,
That sucks.
because it became like this interview moment between us, but I didn't record it. We ended up exchanging information, but we were talking for so long. And he was literally giving me like all the juicy stuff that I would normally ask him on the show. So I have his number.
That's
Hopefully he
awesome.
hasn't changed it. And one day, I'm gonna keep that in my pocket and get him on the show because I think it would mean a lot to the hip hop culture,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
especially here in Toronto, to have him on the show. But I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
I gotta prepare for something like that. So, what
I've
about you?
no, I met. Do you know who Kurt Cameron is?
Kurt Cameron?
Yeah, from Growing
No.
Pains,
From Growing Pains?
the TV
No.
show.
Like from the show? The
Yeah.
show Growing Pains? No, I don't know who that is.
All right. Well, it was a sitcom back in like the 80s. He
Yeah. I
visited
know the show.
church.
I just don't remember the actor. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he visited a church I went to at one point, and he was like a guest speaker.
Oh, okay. Is he from originally from Arkansas?
Nope. I think he's
He
from
just
California.
he just came through for the Lord.
Yep.
He just came through.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think some kind of promotion thing with the church or something. But
Are you big on church, like church and God and
yeah,
religion?
I'm a Christian. I've been I- been raised in a Christian home my whole life, and ever since I can remember, I've always wanted to, was always passionate about serving the Lord, and always wanting to follow in the Lord's footsteps and be the best follower. And I remember when I was really little, I didn't understand what any of that meant, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. And either 2006 or 2007, it's like 8 years old, I finally got saved and just been doing my best ever since.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
What about you?
That's that's. Ah. I'm and like today I was walking. I went for a walk and I was thinking about when I was going to church last year and what that there was a moment where I kind of broke down with the pastor. It was a new church, you know. My cousin, she's big on church, and I wanted to get closer with to my cousin. So I said, you know, let me go to the church. Let me go to the church that she goes to, so that maybe we can build a connection and a relationship. Right? I remember the first couple of times. It was like the second time I went, the pastor called me out, you know, and brought me to the front, and everything he kind of said was spot on, you know, and I kind of broke down and stuff, and I kept going and stuff. I do believe in God, you know. I do believe that I'm connected, you know. I believe in the earth and the universe and you know the trees and the animals and you know just really respecting the ground that we walk on. You know, I cherish all of those things and I pray every day.
That's good.
I don't want to. I can't say that I'm religious because I don't follow. I don't know which practices I'm actually following. I do follow my own, whatever I feel in my heart. You know, I speak to God every day. I call Him God, but I'm sure there are other names. So, but I do. If that answers your question, I believe Him. I walk with in my heart. You know. So
All
yeah.
right. So I'm just kind of curious. Your answer kind of confused me a little. So you believe in a God, but like you believe like in your own kind of God, or do you believe like in a Christian God, or?
I feel like God is in. I feel like God is in all of us.
Okay.
That's how I feel. You know. So like yeah, I don't follow. Yeah, I think that we have in my opinion, you know, I feel like we all have our own image of what God looks like in our mind and our own personal experiences with God, like individually, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Collectively
get
and
that.
individually. So, yeah, God's in me, you know, and I speak with God every day. So, yeah.
All right.
Is that the Christian way? I don't know. Does that fit under the Christian?
Well,
Teach me something.
um, I could be wrong, but like my thought of the Christian way is just showing love to people. I feel like
Mm,
as a Christian, our job is to show love to each other, and if we're not doing that, then we're not working for God. We're not doing
mm,
what God wants us to do because we're supposed to. Because no one's going to want to listen to you if you're not going to show them love. No one's going to want to change their ways if you're preaching at them or um, not respecting them.
yes. Yes.
I
I
feel
don't
like
ever disagree with that.
love's
Yeah,
the most important ingredient for sure.
love. Yeah, I do believe love is the answer to everything, for sure. Love for yourself as well, right?
Yeah, that's actually something for the longest time I had trouble with just because of different insecurities I had and just growing up. But yeah, for sure.
Mm. We'll touch on those insecurities when we do an episode of You on My Show. Yeah,
All right, sure, sure.
we all have insecurities, so definitely I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you on that for sure.
What's the best compliment you've ever received?
Yo, you're killing me with these questions. I love it. You're good.
I spent like an hour googling all these questions.
Okay, okay.
I didn't
It's a
think
good
of
question.
these. Google gave them to me.
Google gave it to you. Okay. That I two things came to mind as soon as you said that. That I never stop. Like I never give up. And when I say, like, let's say today I tell you, like, hey, you know what? I have this idea that um, I want to start my own, I don't know, podcast.
All right.
Just as as an example.
Yeah.
But let's say today is like it is the day that it's 2021, and I say it to you, you hear it, we have the conversation. Maybe a week from now or a couple months, you don't see that podcast formulate. You might see me a year from now, and that podcast has been created, right? So it's like whenever I say something, it's gonna and it's something that I set my heart out to do. Like I always do it. It doesn't matter how long it takes to get that plan off the ground. Like you'll see Arys doing what he said
All right.
he was gonna do like a year ago or like the last time you spoke to him. So that those are compliments that I've heard from people that I appreciate. I guess you know.
Yeah, that's good. How would your parents describe what you do for a living with your podcast?
My mom, I don't know my father, so he's not really involved. But if I were to speak from my mother's, um, she understands that my goal is really like for self-expression and to promote that, right?
Right.
Um, and just speaking with people and bringing different walks of life, everyday people to a platform and creating a platform and a safe space for people to speak and share themselves. You know, so I think I think what I do now kind of stems from like the teachings of my mom growing up. You know, like she taught me how to express myself. And even in moments when I felt like I wasn't able to. Um, she always taught me to find a way. So I found a way during my teenage years, you know, and I always wanted to share this with people, like just different ways of how to express yourself, you know, and share each other's stories. We all have a story. We're all we're all alive. You know what I mean? So, but we're just experiencing things in different ways, different times. But I'm sure we can find some similarities to each other's stories, right, and each other's journeys. So that's really the focus. Yeah, she would kind of acknowledge those things. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's a really good answer.
Thanks. Thanks.
um, what should I ask you that I didn't know enough to ask?
You're killing me. Wait till when you come on my show, I'm gonna give you some hard hitting ass questions. Okay? I'm just
Fair
warning you
enough.
right now. So you're killing me with these. Repeat the question. Repeat the question.
What should I ask you that I didn't know enough to ask?
What should you ask me that you didn't know enough to ask?
I can see how that'd be a difficult one. Do you want to skip that?
Please, please, please. Because there's a route that I do want to take that. Like, I'm in a positive mood today, so I don't want to get into depression and to a depressive.
Right.
Because I was gonna focus on like my father's stuff and all of that. I speak a lot about that on the show already, and
Right.
with Father's Day just passing, I've had a lot of conversations about this father stuff and the state that I'm in with when it comes to that. So um, I feel like that kind of has put some sort of dent in my childhood, but I'm working on letting it go and just accepting my life the way it is and who I am. And even though I don't know a piece of where I come from, no name, no nothing about my father, then I gotta be okay with that, you know. So yeah, I'm working on that.
All right.
You know your father
Yep.
and your mother as well.
Yeah.
Your parents.
I actually still live with them at the moment, but yeah.
Cool. What's that? I'll ask this. What's your relationship with your parents?
Uh, I I would say it's good. It hasn't always been good, and um, we don't always get along, and I sometimes have problems holding on to things that I need to learn to let go. Um, my mom actually homeschooled me for a couple years, and that she was doing it because I wasn't getting education at school, and I just held so much resentment to her, even though she didn't deserve that for a while because I didn't really like her being my teacher. It was kind of weird, your teacher being your mom, and after you're done with your mom being your teacher all day, you can't really complain about your teacher to your mom because your mom's your teacher. So,
Yes, I understand.
um, what's something people seem to misunderstand about you? Is that too hard of a question? We can skip that if we need to.
No, no, no. Fuck. Excuse my language. There's so many. No, I'm joking. This is gonna sound corny. I don't even think people misunderstand this about me. So never mind. But there have been moments where I guess people think that I won't. There have been moments that kind of stick out in my mind that like where I'm supposed to stick up for myself,
Right.
and people might think that I won't in those moments. You know,
Right.
where they think that I'm weak because I don't in that moment, but really I'm actually choosing to remove myself from the situation or not address something. Like not that I'm not able to stick up for myself or incapable of doing so. It's just I do pick my battles, and I think people don't realize how many battles I do really pick. But I like confrontation, and I like to go to war about things that I am truly passionate and believe in. But it's the people that I look at that like, is this a person I even want to waste an argument on or a debate with, or so they might look at that as like, oh, we won over Arys. Like, yeah, he's not gonna fight this one, but it's really me deciding to be like, nah, I don't even want to even go through this battle with you. So I remove myself and accept it and deal with it my own way. And that might look like weakness to some people, or they don't really know what's really going on. Like the decisions that I've made so that I can coexist. Like I have this mentality, and maybe it's a egotistical thing, but like I'm not here stuck with you. You're stuck with me.
I like that.
It's not me. Like I could operate in any. I'm fine. I'm fine. However this goes. But if I open my mouth, then I don't know. But people are people. You can't change people. People will see things the way they do from their perspective, and you will from your own, and gotta find a middle ground sometimes, you know.
Yeah, get
So
that.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
something I've been having to learn is you can't control people.
you can, you can, you can. Do you think you can control yourself?
Yeah,
Like, is it like you can't control people, only yourself?
right.
Do you feel like that? Or do you feel like you also can't control, we can't control ourselves either?
I mean, I feel like you can control yourself with like self discipline, but there's certain everyone has weaknesses, and those weaknesses will make it harder for you to have self control until you get strengthened in that area, I guess.
Mm, I agree.
What advice would you give someone wanting to do a podcast or pursue a career similar to yours?
Um, the advice I would give would be to, I would say, immerse yourself into like the community.
Right?
You know, like if we're talking about podcasting specifically, I would say immerse yourself into the community or in any art form. You know, like before I knew much about podcasting, what I did was I went to podcasting events. You know, I went to like we have this thing in Toronto called PodCamp. So it's like a what would you call it? Not a seminar. There's another term I'm looking for. It's like an event, yearly event. You
Like
know,
a
where
Comic
it's
Con, but for podcasts?
in a sense, yeah, but it's like a camp too. Like you're it's like a 3 day event where you're really getting to know, like you get to go to different sessions and stuff like that that are happening simultaneously. You get to choose which ones you want to attend, and there are some tastemakers in the room or in the building. There are independent folks, you know, people from different pockets of the field, and whether it's the tech side or the storytelling side or the blog side or whatever. And yeah, I just went to learn, you know, and to make connections and to soak up before I brought this idea to life. I had the idea, but I knew I needed to learn about it. So my advice would be to um, immerse yourself into the community, and whether it's online, you know, finding some groups and like Facebook groups and joining some podcasts because there are always questions being answered in those types of groups. And ask questions, you know, and just learn about the thing that you want to pursue first. You know, it could be in you for sure, but there are some technical things that you're gonna know and learn about,
Right.
and most of those things you'll learn on the way. But I think immersing yourself into the community to be a part of something, to feel like you're, you know, I think that's important, and that's what I've done. So yeah.
Who are the most influential people to you, or who have been the most influential to you?
I'll be honest with you, like when I look at that, um, I look at like different moments in my life. Like it's not like an ongoing thing, right? Like people who have been most influential to me, um, like those that title has changed numerous times. Like someone could have been so influential to me during my teenage years, and then they weren't after the fact. You know, like I feel like people play a role in your life for many reasons, whether they're people you know or people you don't. Um, so I'd like to speak to like people right now in my life that are most influential to me are like my manager, Carlos. He's the manager for the Quiet Council, which is like this podcast management agency that where he's sort of like spearheading and launching, and he's been a mentor to me like in my life. But we're now I've known him for so long, and now we're finally getting to do things that we always spoke about in the past that we
Right.
wanted to do. You know? but he always guided me in some way, shape, or form. We would have conversations. So he's really influential. He's key in my life right now. Like we're really doing some stuff and having some plans. Like he knows about us meeting today, and he's like, "Yeah, go man, like have fun, like be with it." Like I said, cover art to your show. He's like, "That's so sick," you
Yeah.
know. Like he's just like he's just a cool guy. Like he's just out. He kind of he was done. He was finished with managing and doing stuff, you know. And I kind of pulled him out of it and back into the game. And now we're having fun. So um, my sister as well is pretty influential. She's having her first child. You know, that's going to be born next month, and you know she's been through so much, and I realize like she kind of inspires me to just never like give up. You know, just keep on going and do whatever the hell I want to do with no limits. You know.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and then like there are some artists and stuff that I look up to. You know, like Jay-Z and people within the industry that I look up to and listen to a lot and get that inspiration from. So yeah.
What's been the biggest failure in the last year, and why do you think it happened?
Uh, Biggest failure I would say in the past year was my last relationship that I had with someone. It was a fail. It was like it was a gift and a curse. And you know the way it ended, I don't think it should have ended that way. Um, the way that it did, and I had a lot to do with it, and so did that person. So it was just like it wasn't a good situation. You know what I mean? When you look, I'm starting to look at failures as wins now in life. Like anything we look at as a failure, it's not really a loss or failure. It's a win. Like everything is supposed to happen the way it's supposed to happen. You're only going to gain from the things that you're going through. You're never going to fail. You know, you're going to learn. You're going to learn from what you're going through. You're not going to fail. You don't fail. You gain something from that moment. You know, like recently I had an interview with an organization, and the screening for the position went well. The first official interview went well. The second interview I bombed. You know, and I was beating myself up about it, but I learned so much in that moment, like about myself. Like, do I even want to do this? Like, do I even want to be work here? Like, why am I really doing it? Like, I started. You gain from your losses, so to speak. So
Right.
those are a couple things that kind of stick out. But yeah,
Those are some really good mentality, a good way to look at things.
it's hard.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's very difficult. Like, it's easier said than done. But when you put things into perspective and take a moment to yourself, you know, Terry, like I feel like you can really, you can put things into things will be put into perspective. You give yourself some time to just feel what you feel.
Right.
Take some time to yourself. You know what I mean? And just pick this information apart and don't do things out of impulse. You know, like really just take a step outside of yourself. Like some of us aren't able to do. We're so embroiled in what we have going on in our lives, and we're so involved is that we can never step out of that to look from the outside looking in at yourself. Like, what am I going through? Why am I doing this? Why am I whatever? Um, and I think that's important. And then asking God for like some guidance, asking your guides and your protectors for some guidance. In moments where you feel lost. Oh yeah.
So, before this weekend, have you ever watched the movie Training Day before?
Oh, I love Training Day. Training Day is like one of my favorite films of all time.
I watched it when I was really little, and I didn't like it because I didn't understand it, but I went
Mm.
back and watched it, and it was really good.
Why do you feel like you didn't understand it at that time?
Well, no, I feel like as a kid, you kind of live in a box, and you don't really know much outside of that box, and
Yes.
you don't really, if you don't know something, you can't really understand it.
Mm. So, so what kind of understand? I'll let you obviously lead, right? I don't want to mess up the flow,
Oh,
but I
yeah,
like
man.
I like this acknowledging like not understanding and then understanding.
Right.
I like that. Are you like okay? You mentioned the box, so like when did you get out that box so that you could gain the understanding, whether it's about this movie or anything, you know?
Well, well, I feel like for me, I feel like I'm always in sort of like a box because there's always something I don't know. There's always something
Mm,
I'm trying to understand. Or
mm,
sometimes I put myself in a box by maybe thinking too hard about something.
yes. Are you still are there like multiple boxes like that are like categorized? Like you know, this is my insecurity box. This is my communication box, and where I stand in those boxes, like for different reasons, kind of thing.
I don't know. I never really gave it much thought. I guess maybe or just all a mess. I don't know. I never really gave it much thought. But something I thought was interesting going back and watching Training Day, something that they focus a lot on through the movie is different corrupted cops, corrupted policemen, and then street life and living on the streets.
Yes.
And with all the corruption that's been happening and coming out here lately, it kind of I kind of understood it a little bit more, and I felt like the movie sort of drew that gray line of good cop and bad cop.
Yes. Yes. Do you feel thinking about this before we got on the call? Like, do you feel like Alonzo is like bad, but he's good? He's good, but he's bad. Do you feel that element with him when it comes to his character?
When it comes to his character scares the bejesus out of me. I would not, I would
That's not
not
if
want
he
to
was a
be
real person.
do it.
Yeah, that's not someone you want to come across. But is he making the system? Yeah, no, he's really bad. Yeah, I don't know why I'm trying to justify it. Because I'm thinking about the system, right? Like the
Right.
system is already messed up. Is he making the system work for him, or is he just a bad person?
Well, the fact that you said that is kind of interesting because Denzel Washington's portrayal of Alonzo was actually based off a corrupted cop in real life. Um,
Wow.
Raphael Paris. I don't know if I'm saying that guy's name right. But he was,
Raphael Paris.
yeah,
Okay, I didn't know that.
yeah. And Denzel's very, very convincing in his portrayal of a bad cop. But
Yes, I think this is what he finally won an Oscar for. He finally won an Oscar for this role, I think, and
yeah,
I think there was a lot of hoopla around that because they felt like, oh, like this is a great actor,
right,
and all the time that he plays something really bad is when they award him, you know. But
yeah,
Denzel's been doing great movies prior to that, but he does play it really well. There was like I try to think about other movies he's been like sort of like a bad guy in,
yeah.
and
I can't think of very
American
many. Oh, what?
American. Do you remember American Gangster? Did you watch that one?
No, I have not seen that one yet. I have to check that
Okay,
out.
yeah. He's portraying Frank Lucas, who was like a big drug dealer in New York and stuff like that. But I think that one. So I guess he's kind of being a bad guy in that one, but yeah, nothing beats his character in Training Day.
So something I was thinking about as I was watching this movie is I felt like the writers didn't really do a good enough job of showing Denzel before he was a corrupted cop, because
Yeah,
I felt like they hinted at it here and there, but they never really showed it.
yeah.
And there's actually a deleted scene I looked up. I haven't watched it, but I read that there's a deleted scene that shows him as a cop before he was corrupted, and I kind of wish that was in the movie. I felt like that could have worked a lot more.
Mm, I want to look that up. But you know, I'm thinking, Terry, like, I don't think, because the movie's called Training Day.
Right.
And it took me a long time to realize that the film was all occurring in one day.
Yeah.
Like that's like if we're talking about understanding versus not understanding when I was little, that was something that I didn't realize, right?
Right.
I didn't understand. So I feel like if they showed us anything outside of that day, they would have to change the title of the movie because it's not Training Day, you know? Like
That's fair.
everything picks up from the morning to the night. It's the longest day. Like I would not want to live that day.
No.
Officer Hoyt.
I feel like Officer Hoyt is quite stupid for not like getting away sooner.
Yeah, what the hell? How bad do you really want this? Like, devil. I feel like he kind of represents the devil and temptation.
Denzel.
You know? Yeah. Like
Yeah.
if you look at the interactions between Hoyt and Alonzo,
Right.
it looks like the devil using temptation like a human being. You know, like maybe that I don't know. That's something that I took away from it in the past. You know, like
That's a good way
what
to
do you
look
think?
at it.
Like what do you think? Like Hoyt wants something so bad that he's willing to follow this devil around and take his guidance. You know?
Yeah, I mean that happens in real life too. Like especially in Hollywood, people are willing to give up all kinds of parts of themselves just so they can be famous.
Mm, yes, yes. There's this concept of like selling your soul to the devil. Like yeah, the things that you want or whatever for fame, for glory, and whatever. Yeah.
Like with the whole Harvey Weinstein thing that happened years ago.
Yes, yes, yes. Some of the women, like yeah, the alleged, yeah, he would use that power to give them what they wanted, and they would. I don't know. Weird. It's weird, man.
It
It's
is
weird.
weird.
There's a person wants something, needs a person that can give it to them, but at what cost, right?
Right.
So I feel like both people have a role to play in that. You know what I mean? Like, but no one should be taken advantage of. You know what I'm saying? Never. So.
Um, Something that was on the news that's been going on just recently. You still there?
I'm here. I'm here.
All
Sorry.
right, that's all good. Something that just happened recently on the news I learned about was this sheriff in Lonoke County, which is the county I live in. He shot and killed this 17-year-old for basically this 17-year-old was working on trying to fix his car or something to do with his car, and he was doing something illegal. And I guess he didn't know what he was doing that was illegal, and the sheriff pulled into the driveway and thought that the 17-year-old was holding a gun, but it was just an oil can. And the
Jeez.
sheriff shot the 17-year-old kid.
Jesus, man.
And so I was just thinking of different corrupted cops and several stories like that one. And with the movie Training Day, how would you like draw the line of what's too much power? What's you get what I'm trying to say? The gray line, good and bad.
Yeah. Well, like when we look at the world, I feel like like how do we depower something that is put into place to have power?
Right.
Like whether we like it or not, the structures that be, police have that power, and that's what Alonzo is consumed by. He's consumed by the power he has or was given. He thinks he's untouchable. You know what I mean? So, and he gets a rude awakening at the end, right?
Right.
So what is power? What is power? Who has true power? What does power look like? Yeah, exactly, right? Like it's sad to hear that story that you just shared, man. Like some people have the wrong, some people have power and they shouldn't, you know.
Right.
So it could be an individual thing. How do you use your power? Like you have to acknowledge first that you have power, and then that's when you choose which side you stand on with that power that you wield. I think we all have power in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Some of us don't. Some of us don't realize it. Some of us don't embrace it. Some of us don't utilize it. Um, but we don't acknowledge the fact that if we do have power, we have to use it, and we have to choose a side with that power. So we see the duality between like Hoyt's power and like I feel like Hoyt's character in the end he reclaimed his power.
Right.
Like I don't I think he was very powerless throughout the movie until the moment he decides that he's going to reclaim the power that he should have or whatever, like he was very powerless throughout the film until a certain point, and then he's like, no, I have the power to take this guy down and throw a monkey wrench into his operation and stuff like that. So you see both different kinds of power, good power and bad power,
Right.
being utilized in different ways. Do you agree? Like, what do you think?
Oh, I 100% agree. I was just thinking about what you were saying, and that was really interesting because I was remembering reading that that wasn't the way the movie was originally supposed to end, or that scene wasn't originally supposed to be in the movie.
Really?
Actually, Denzel Washington fought everyone involved in the film and the studio to make sure that his character does end up getting
Con-
consequences for his actions because
mm,
he did not want to send the wrong message of I'm going to do this and I'm unstoppable. He wanted there to be consequences to his character's actions.
wow, wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well then, oh, I like. Okay, okay, okay. So this is a good question. So when you think about that, um, does that does that make you feel like anything bad on this? Like he's trying to show us that when you're bad, you won't survive. You only have like a certain length to survive within that bad, right?
Right.
But in the end, all the bad that you've done will catch up to you, and you get what's coming to you.
Right.
So do you feel like in the world that we live, like that's the fact? Like bad people, they'll exist, or the bad that they do will exist for a certain period of time, but eventually it's not gonna end well for
I
those who are truly bad.
I believe that. I believe in karma. I feel like the devil will use the time while the person looks unstoppable and make it look like the guy will never have to suffer any consequences. But I believe everyone has what's coming to them eventually.
Mm,
Just gotta wait for the right timing, I guess.
yeah, I don't feel true evil lasts long. There's no longevity in true evil or wreaking havoc on the world that we live, or towards people. Like, no.
Right.
That's why the devil needs that. They need people to kind of make those deals with him and be bad because the devil won't survive without that.
Right.
But
Because
again, it does it.
he knows his
Pardon me.
days are numbered.
They're temporary.
Yeah.
They're temporary. So he keeps needing to feed himself or itself to to survive. But yeah, never lasts. So yeah, I feel you.
So also, this film dealt a lot with living on the streets and the street life, and I'm not very educated about that stuff, but you I was listening to an episode of the Who and Wow Club, and you work with a lot of homeless people, correct?
I do work with. I do work in the homeless sector. Yeah.
Do you feel like this movie did that justice? It made it feel realistic.
Um, I do think about that. I do think about that moment with the homeless people in the you remember in the alley
Yeah.
in the alleyway. Yeah. No, no, not all homeless people are rapists. Not all homeless people are. I that part didn't. And then I'm not saying this from a biased perspective. I'm just saying that it's just fact. That's
Yeah.
just like a moment. Those people were unique to that situation or that scene in the movie. But what it's hard for me to talk because one of the folks that I work with, she just died 2 days ago.
Sorry about
Uh,
that.
we had we had a client that died from an overdose 2 days ago. So yeah, we're just kind of dealing with that at the moment. Um, yeah, I've met people from all walks of life in the sector that I work in. So yeah, it ranges. So yeah.
Something I didn't understand until I watched the movie a couple times and did some research was you remember that snail joke at the beginning of the movie?
Snail?
Yeah, the Roger is telling them a snail joke.
Yes, 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 yes.
Well, I didn't
I
know
don't. Re- I
this.
don't remember. I don't remember the full the breakdown, but I do remember the snail jump.
Well, I don't remember the whole joke, but I didn't know that the joke was symbolically representing surviving the streets.
Mm,
On IMDb, it kind of dug into that. It said that symbolically in the joke, the man represents the streets and the snail represents just a random person falling victim to the streets. The size difference between the two represents how small we are, showing how easy it is for the streets to tear you apart and not think about it.
so the snail moves so slow that it's going to embrace and get swarmed by the streets because it's moving so slow. It can't just like pass the streets. It has to. It moves such at a slow pace that it's in the streets. By the time it comes out, it will be a part of the streets.
Right.
kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Am I understanding that what right or?
I believe so. Yeah.
But what? So if that's symbolic in that, like, what is it? Who is he? What is the? Who is the snail in the story? Is he saying Hoyt's the snail, or is he saying Alonzo's the snail, or?
Well, from the movie's perspective, I'd almost feel like Hoyt would be the Snell, and at
Yeah.
one point, Alonzo had to have been the Snell before he
Mm,
became the men.
yeah. So okay, it's like it's not. It's yeah. It's like not. Oh my god, that's deep. It's like foreshadowing in a way, but
Yeah.
like it's like Roger is telling. It's like it's warning him.
And if you remember in that scene, Alfonso tells Hoyt that it's bullshit, it doesn't mean anything, which is kind of interesting.
Huh. I gotta go. I have to go watch that scene. That specific.
And then the kind of messed up part is, well, you know what happens to Roger.
Yeah, that's. I hate that part. That part's sad to me. Roger seemed like a really good guy.
But the interesting thing about this movie that I liked so much is it felt so violent, but only like two people actually die in the whole movie. Like, I don't know how it felt so dark and violent, but it did, and it worked really well.
Yeah, only two people died, Roger and Alonso.
Yeah, but it felt
Yeah, it's very
watching
gritty.
it
Very
felt
gritty.
like it was more.
Very gritty. Very gritty. It's Antoine Fuqua and David Ayer's writing. Like like I really wish they would collaborate again
Yeah,
on things because David Ayer has become like the director and some of his movies when he shoots them they have kind of like that grittiness that training they had like
right.
but I would love to see a collaboration between them two again. Like, have you ever watched End of Watch?
I do not, but I actually do have it in my library. I just haven't watched it yet. I got
Watch it.
lots
Watch
of
it.
movies.
You got a library in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Watch it. Watch End of Watch, brother.
All right.
Because
I'll have.
that's David Ayer as well. I think that was like after. I think that's his first movie he directed after the whole Training Day stuff. Because more writing, but like he did Suicide Squad, he did End of Watch, he did Bright, which is like that Will Smith kind of superhero fantasy movie on Netflix.
Oh, I've
It's
watched that. That was
yeah,
kind of odd movie, but yeah.
very odd, but yeah. There's that grittiness. You feel like you're in like a Training Day universe in a
Right.
sense, like the way the MCU and the Marvel stuff, but it's not Training Day obviously, but you just feel like End of Watch is the closest thing I feel
I'll have to
that's to
check that
that,
out.
but check it out. We should talk about that at some point too.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, Terry, I hate to cut this short, but it's 4:10,
All right.
and I gotta go to. I don't want to be late for
All
this
right.
other thing, but I want us to. What are your thoughts? How do we? Is
I
there a way you want to end this off, or maybe this will be part one of a two-parter, or what are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
it don't matter to me either way. We could either do a part one and part two, or just kind of cut it up here. It don't really matter. If you want to talk more about the film, then we can do it in two parts.
Yeah. Do you have more that you wanted to touch on for Training Day?
Not a whole lot more, but I could probably think of a lot more stuff if we want to do another video, another audio.
All right. So why don't we? Okay. So we can make this part one, and then part two, because we want to do Gladiator, right? We're gonna do
Right,
Gladiator.
right.
So whatever you have left for Training Day, you could bring it into that, and then we will transition into Gladiator on part two.
Okay.
If you agree to
That's
it,
fine
okay?
with me. And then part three, we could do the end of watch since you like that movie a lot.
Yes, 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 yes. I'll rewatch it as well. It'll force me to watch it.
All right. Thank you so much for letting me have you today. It was a lot of fun.
Terry, it was amazing. I appreciate it. We're gonna touch base offline and then figure this out. Because are you releasing this episode
Um,
anytime soon? Like, will this be coming out in the upcoming week?
uh, I was thinking about uploading it next Monday. I like having my episodes upload Monday night, and so
Monday night?
next
Okay.
so July 5th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That I'll do the same. I'll post it your week as well, and then we just cross promote it, and yeah, that
Oh,
makes sense.
all
We'll
right,
we'll post part one
all
that
right.
week. Yeah.
Yeah, I have actually started the whole YouTube thing. I've been trying to take my old audios and put them on YouTube.
Oh, send me a link. Send me a link to it. I'll subscribe, and then you subscribe to mine, and we'll keep in touch on that stuff. And then yeah, we'll plan part two.
All right. Thank you so much.
Terry, it was great speaking with you. Thanks so much.
No problem.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
All right, blue text. Yes.
All
Cheers.
right.
I have my wallet here.
Hey, give it to me.
Yo, just take it. All right, we'll talk offline.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, dude. Okay, cheers.
Cheers.